Welcome to the Digital Amateur Television Experimenters Night. This is VK7OTC, the club station of the Radio and Electronics Association of Southern Tasmania. Amateur radio is a worldwide hobby that has many different aspects. Digital television is just one of the many modes and areas that are covered. Maybe you're interested in becoming involved in the DATV Experimenters Nights. You realise that you do not have to be a radio amateur or need any ATV equipment to participate anywhere in the world. Also participate in the night by coming up to the Queen's Domain clubrooms. Yes, right on top of the Queen's Domain in the heritage-listed Coast Wireless Station. You never know, we might get you in front of the camera or behind doing one of the many roles during the night. We get underway with our program on a Wednesday night from 7:30 p.m. local time. We'll see you soon. This is VK7 OTC.
Okay, this is VK7 OTC, the club station of the Radio and Electronics Association of Southern Tasmania with our DATV Experimenters Night, and I've got Hayden VK7HH and Murray VK7ZMS in the studio. Now, just before we get underway, and the reason these two are in the studio is I'll just do acknowledgement of country. Wish to acknowledge Tasmanian Aboriginal people as the traditional owners of the land and pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging, for they hold the memory, knowledge and culture and hopes of Aboriginal Tasmania. Now, the first segment I've titled up Going Tropo on Mount Wellington. So tell us more.
I think we went Tropo deciding what time in the morning to get up, I think, wasn't it?
I didn't go Tropo, I think that was just tricky.
It was tricky. Yeah, so we had a look at Hepburn on Thursday, Friday, and it looked like it was looking pretty good across Bass Strait and also across to New Zealand.
NZ, yeah, well and truly.
Bass Strait on Saturday and New Zealand on
Sunday, yeah.
And New Zealand for the next few days. That actually strengthened up.
Well, yeah, we'll get to that.
We'll get to that.
Oh, okay, righto.
And then, so I kind of asked Tricky and Murray if they were keen on maybe going up the mountain to take advantage, take the van up. And we sort of ummed and ahed a little bit, but Murray was very, very, thankfully was very accommodating to doing that.
And we've done this before on Tropo, and our learnings were it burns off pretty quickly when the sun gets up, because when we're going across the water, you've got more time, but when you're going across the land, it disappears
real quick.
And field day, we had contacts on just the mobile unit in the car into Victoria
before the contest
at like 8 o'clock in the morning, but by 10 or 11 o'clock that all vanished.
Yeah, because I think Rex could probably answer this a little bit better than me, but what I'm assuming is happening is because we're travelling across land between Mount Wellington and Bass Strait, everything's cool in the valleys before the sun comes up.
Heats everything up.
And then as the sun comes up, it heats everything up and just burns off the temperature inversion so that we can get over the mountains. Yeah. If we were right on the coast where the water was, it wouldn't make that much of a difference.
It would have been open all day.
Bass Strait, you can see it in the distance and it stays
there.
Well,
it was funny. We set off at about 5 o'clock in the morning, and I got to...
Actually, we were aiming to be there by...
5:30, yes.
Can I just say Hayden did a fantastic video that starts off really dark and you hear this voice come out of the darkness in the car.
Yeah, Richard wasn't too keen on getting up at that time, but he got there, which was good. But I got to the Springs Bend, and the sunrise was coming up, and I zoomed in, and you can see the duct.
You can see it.
Yeah.
You can see the duct because you can see this dirty patch of air on both sides, and then this clean patch in between.
Change of colour.
Which was really cool to see. You couldn't really see that out towards the north where we were looking because the sun wasn't behind it, and it was a bit smoggy from smoke, I think, and a few other bits and pieces.
Okay.
But it was there.
Mm-hmm. So we got up and we set up at 5:30. Well, we were ready by 6, were we?
Oh, we made first contacts by 6.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so the first thing we did was we turned on to 2 metres on the VK3 RGI beacon.
Yep.
And that was like 10 over 9. That was massive
Now
signal.
that's Gippsland.
Gippsland,
Gippsland, yeah.
So then we went 70, and 70 was not as strong. I think it was about S5, S6.
Oh, no, it was in the morning it was really strong.
Was it? Okay,
Yeah.
that was strong as well.
Yeah, and so that's why we set up the 10 gig stuff straight away.
We set up 10 straight away while we were doing 23, fiddling with 23.
Okay.
23 was about S5?
Yeah, the beacon wasn't as strong.
No.
But
And then Tricky set up 10 gigs, and we could hear the 10 gig beacon as well.
RGIs?
Yeah.
yeah.
And that's running like
Wow.
apparently a watt.
Oh, no, it's nothing.
Yeah. And it
Wow.
had quite a bit of...
Okay.
I wouldn't say it was a strong signal, but we could definitely hear it.
Yeah, and there was QSB.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
if you're watching the video that I did, Tricky's moving the dish, and you can hear it in the outdoor speaker on the van. That's what we were actually listening to.
Okay. Okay.
So
he was able to pick that up, I assume.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then we made some contacts on 2.
2, 70, 23.
Yeah.
10?
No.
No, we failed on 10.
No one had...
Ralph? Was Ralph there? WIA?
Yeah.
Ralph
No.
didn't have 10 gigs
No.
Ah, okay.
with him, I
The
don't
only
think.
Okay.
person that had 10 gigs was Ari.
Yes.
VK3 Ari. Paul. Is it Paul? No, I've forgotten their names.
Okay.
It's looking like,
And where were they? Just a matter of interest. Where were they
In that
located?
similar Bairnsdale area, similar
Okay.
area. VK3EK was another
Oh,
one.
EK.
Okay.
sorry,
Yeah.
He was in
Rob.
Bairnsdale.
Robbie.
Yeah. But they were all. I think they were at home as well.
Yeah.
So what happened was usually if we can hear 3 RGI, it's almost guaranteed we'll work Ralph, who goes to Mount Tassie.
Well, truly.
So I sent a message to Ralph the night previous and said, look, we're going to go up, and he's like, yeah, cool, let me know. And so I shot him off a message, and he goes, cool, I'll be up there in an hour.
in hindsight, we should have sent that message to him at like 5:35 or something rather than.
We should
8
have,
o'clock.
yeah. We should have, yeah.
Because by the time we got up there, it had started to fade. Yeah.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
But we worked those stations, and then so Ralph had he had 2.4, 3.4, 5.7 with him,
Great.
and so we started off on 2.4, and we couldn't hear him. We're like, he's got the beeper on, and we were just like, we can't hear anything. Hang on, we'll turn our beeper on. We turned ours on, and he's like, yeah, I can hear you. And he peeked up.
And we could hear it coming back through 2 meters when he was talking to us. Like that's
Oh,
really
on the phone,
strong.
on the phone.
Oh, the phone. That
On
was
the
it.
phone, yeah.
Okay.
And then we're like, oh, okay, that's strong. And then he turned on his beeper, and we're like, oh, and we're sort of peeking it, and we're like, oh, there you are. Yep, found you. And we worked him on sideband. Signals weren't really that strong on 2.4,
No.
were they?
But right at the end, it peaked up to probably S5.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
Okay.
a lot of QSB like there was. Then it just completely disappeared. You just have to keep.
And really fast QSB or slow QSB?
Oh, medium.
It was
Hmm.
consistent. It was like you had one over with him, and he was perfect copy S5, and then the next over he'd come back at like hardly anything, wouldn't you?
Yeah,
Yeah,
zero
okay.
signal, but you just
Okay.
be able to hear him in there.
Okay. Okay.
And then we moved to 3.4 because Tricky and I had done 2.4 and 3.4 before with him.
Yep.
So we tried 3.4, and 3.4 I think was better.
It was better
Yeah.
signals.
What in? So you were using a dish. You said you
Grid.
were
Grid pack on
Grid-
both.
grid pack on both.
Grid
Okay.
pack on both.
Okay.
And I think the last time I worked Ralph on 3.4, we weren't using a grid pack. We were using an offset dish turned upside down.
Right.
Okay. 400mm dish, 300mm dish. I can't
And
remember.
power on both.
What were we running on?
25 watts on 2.4.
Okay.
We can do 63, but we need 24 volts to power
Right.
to power the amp.
Okay.
And on 3.4, we were using 20 watts.
Okay.
And he was using similar power, I think.
I think so.
Similar power.
Okay.
So yeah, 9ZMS was good.
And
Cool.
then
Cool.
Still QSB.
Yeah.
And then he said, "Have you got 5.7?" He said, "Have we got 5.7?"
Have we got a deal
I
for
said,
you?
and see, so I'll shout out to Richard as well.
Yeah.
So he set up he mounted the box on the back of the grid, on the back of the rocket dish. So we got a Ubiquity rocket dish, 30 dBi. And he set all that up, and I went out there to pick it up, and it was good because all I had to do was mount my transverter and run some cables, and that was it.
Okay.
When we did the field day, we did some testing beforehand,
Yep.
and I said, I'll just point at the mountain from my place, you point at the mountain. We know it works on 2.4, 3.4. We tried 5.7, we couldn't hear each other.
And we had a lot of trouble around.
We had a similar experience with Martin and Linda.
And I was actually starting to... Well, we had no problem with Martin and Linda, but then...
I know, but you were line of sight.
Yeah.
But the thing was, early on, it was dodgy signals, really low signals, but later in the day, it didn't matter where I pointed.
You still got them, yeah.
I still got them. So, just conditions.
So we've dropped down from 20 watts to 2 watts.
Yeah, 2.5 we were running barefoot.
Okay.
And I said to Ralph, I don't think this is going to work, but we can try it. And he was running 5 watts into a 1.2.
It was 2 watts, wasn't it?
I think they're 2.5.
Out of the transverter, yeah.
Was he running more power than us?
He was running 5 into a 1.2 metre dish.
Yeah.
Yeah, big dish.
In the centre of that frequency range, it's 2.5.
Yeah.
You get slightly more and slightly less.
We haven't measured it, but
yeah.
we're assuming it's 2.5. And then Ralph was running, so he was running 3 dB more power and a bigger dish.
Okay.
And we're like, well, we can try it. Like, I've never had a QSO on this thing before. So anyway, we turned on...
Richard and I have been actually fairly sceptical of the
design.
Like, we've got some really good stuff from SG Labs. We're like, well, maybe these things aren't real flash, because we had quite a bit of trouble.
So anyway, so we put the beeper on. Ralph put his beeper on. He said, yep, it's running. And he says, I think I'm roughly pointing in the right direction.
Because we'd already had a couple of contacts. So
yeah. And I think he's got a multi-feed thing, I think, or something, and he just swaps it out. So anyway, we're moving the dish, and Richard's like hardly moves the dish. And I'm like, there it is. Oh, it's gone. Oh, there he is.
Ooh.
And it was like, it was the smallest, like it was
okay.
Like, you know how...
Fractions of a degree.
Well, you know how Richard's got his all on and he can adjust it. I think that 5.7 is probably not that much more different. It was very...
You really do need that level of adjustment.
Sharp.
Rather than just waving it around.
Yeah. So we found him...
With the dish. What about group pack?
Well, don't know. We found him, and then we turned on our beeper, and sure enough, he's like, yep, I can hear you. And we worked each other, and those signals, they weren't very strong. They were probably what?
Yeah, they were S1.
S1. But it was readable.
It was.
Definitely readable.
Okay.
It's in the video.
Mm-hmm.
And we worked him on that, and so we know it works. We know the transverter works.
So yeah, confidence restored.
Yeah. We just know that 5.7 is not a band which we thought it was going to be.
We need more experience.
We do need more experience.
Yeah.
We need a whole lot more
and it's
experience.
going to be, I think the experience is going to be closer to 10 gig experience rather than...
Yeah, okay.
We don't even know what it does off the mountain either. Like,
No.
we've tried that and we don't know. So it's cool because we're going to have to experiment.
Martin and Linda, slightly less off the mountain than turning it round, and I think we were both pointed at like Mount Rumney, but very little difference in the afternoon.
The only other thing with the 5.7 gig transverter, which I was talking to Murray earlier on tonight, was that the noise figure of them is a little bit higher than the 2.4 and 3.4 units, so they could probably have a preamp in there which would help.
Yep. Yeah.
And then also more power. I think more power is
we've got that. We've got the 40 watt amp, so...
Well, I need to get an amp, but you guys are sorted for an amp.
You've got a 40 watt amp.
Yeah. I bought it when Richard bought his, when Yarn offered it to us. So,
but yeah, we're running QRP, and today it's actually been certified that it's a new record at 503 Ks.
Congratulations!
Unfortunately, and I feel really bad about this, I actually didn't want to put in for the record because I told Murray this the other day. So what happened was I made the contact because I was calling Ralph. Richard then went and called him and gave him a report, and Ralph's on the other end going, QSL. I got your 5x1 QSL.
But he thought it was
me
repeating himself.
repeating myself. So then we pass it on to Murray, and Murray's there, gets the mic, and it happened on 2.4 and well, you made it. It happened on 2.4.
Faded out completely, gone, nothing.
But then 3.4, you got a contact with him.
No, I didn't contact him on 2.4 because I.
No, but 3.4 you did.
Yeah. 2.4 he
Faded.
Yeah, 3.4
no, but I didn't
is
even
on
try
the
because I worked in
Oh,
the
right.
Remember?
Yes, that's right. You worked him the other day. So then you moved to 3.4, you got a contact. Then we moved to 5.7, and we gave the mic to Murray. Murray's like, calling, no response. Call, no response. So I ring Ralph back on the phone. I'm like, can you hear us anymore? Nah, you faded. Oh, okay. So you got me and Richard in the log. No, I got you, Hayden, in the log. I'm like, Richard was calling you with a report. You didn't get that? He's like, no, I thought it was you. I went, oh no. So now I feel bad because we were all there. We were all there, but
it's all good.
We didn't exchange.
It's a Tassie record. We're all good.
We didn't exchange
correct.
all of our call
Correct.
signs. So, anyway.
But we know it's possible.
Yeah.
Hey.
And yeah, it's hard across the mountains.
Oh, the mountains cut our ducks off.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
And I was talking to Kevin 4UH. 4UH is the distance record manager now.
Yep.
And he actually holds the 5.7 national record between VK4 and ZL.
Wow. Okay.
So it has been done.
Okay.
And we know it can be done.
Yeah.
It has been done.
It's further to ZL from here, so we can beat him potentially.
Yes, that's right. And I definitely did tell him that. And he's like, oh, I welcome that. But he's got 100 watts. But he's got 100 watts, you see. So he's got plenty of power.
And a decent sized dish, I assume.
Yeah. So that's what I said. Don't worry, your days are numbered. We will be breaking your record. I don't like breaking other records of VK7s. So the record that we broke was held by 2 VK3s portable.
Oh no, that's right.
So that's okay.
No, it's competition or anything.
No. But we don't want to.
Just the RD all over again.
So yeah, no, it's good fun.
Oh, no.
And we were packed up and back down by like
lunchtime.
Yeah.
It had all gone.
No.
Yeah, it had all gone.
Okay.
Even 2 meters had gone.
I think the learnings are we probably needed to be more organised, probably there an hour earlier, and probably more organised with the people at the other end.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, and the other issue too was Ballarat Hamfest was on, so there's quite a few people at Ballarat.
So everybody was going to Ballarat.
But if night did work. VK3 MAP Brody at home.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Home,
Yeah.
On 23.
Fantastic.
Which is the first time because normally, no, not from home. I don't think we've even worked him 2 metres from home because he's at 12 metres above sea
Rex
level.
works him every day.
On digital, yeah.
From home.
Not Simon.
He said I'm like 12 metres above sea level. So,
Yeah.
but normally he goes up to a hill and portable, no problem. But I don't think we've still worked him from down here in 1296. Even portable.
Okay.
So that was the first time anyone was at home. So,
but it's a funny line. So from Mount Wellington, Melbourne is impeded by the Central Highlands.
Yep.
But Gippsland is actually a pretty good shot.
Open.
Straight through there.
Yeah.
So I need to have a look on the map and see if there's anything further north of Mount Tassie that we can send Ralph to or send someone to so that we can extend some
You're
distances.
up into the snowies.
Yeah. Mount Guinea would be nice if someone wants to go to Mount Guinea and operate from up there. I don't know what the view outlook south's like.
And the problem is a lot of them are hard to get to. They're not drive up mountains.
No, they're not, no. And ZL, you mentioned ZL.
yes.
So then Sunday came along and I had a couple of ZLs lined up because it looked really good. Really, really good. And usually, like even 2 metres across, I've worked ZL 2 metres from home on a small Yagi before and we use that as a chat channel.
Yep.
And nothing at all. Nothing. The only thing was a couple of VK3s, I think 3 DUT and a couple heard the beacon, or the ZL2, the ZL1 WHO beacon.
Okay.
Very briefly QSB.
That's it.
But that was it. Nothing down here, nothing at all.
Okay.
But very successful day all that.
Yeah.
Oh no, well and truly. Well, congratulations. That is fantastic. That's absolutely
Hopefully we get
fantastic.
some more openings and we've learnt from it and we'll go a bit earlier.
Yeah. Yeah.
and set up so that we can be on air before sunrise.
And watch the sunrise.
Yeah, I think you kind of need to be, because we were still setting up some of the bands. Well, we're trying to work some bands, and there's just not enough room in the van to do that.
Yeah,
because
okay.
you can't keep working and setting stuff up in, like on the field day, because we have a set start time.
Yep.
There's no pressure to start working
No.
anything until then. So
And one person could be at the van
so
setting up
you know,
at time.
the idea is you set up, you have coffee, and then
So
start time.
Yeah, because what we had was we were like, well, if we can hear 2 meters, then we'll go to the next band. If we can hear that band, we'll go to the next band. And then on what we needed to do was set everything up so that we're like, yep, let's go to this band quick.
It's open, it's open, it's open,
Yeah.
it's open.
Or, you know, it's only going to take us like a minute to switch
And
bands.
the fact that you were hearing 10 gigs, that wow, okay, wow.
Yeah, I was pretty impressed by that.
That's outrageous.
Yeah, CW as well.
That,
Yep.
wow, okay. Well, that's excellent.
503k.
Congratulations, guys.
Good day.
That is excellent, excellent. Thank you.
And I just want to point this out
Yeah.
while I was here, because I'm not sure if a lot of people actually know about this. Do you want to put it over on the thing?
No.
Or you wanna
We
zoom
can
up on
we can zoom in these days. There we go.
So this is an SG Labs 50 watt PA. So these are reasonably new. They had a 25 watt PA. This one runs off 28 volts. So yeah, it's got an LNA in it. It'll do 50 watts. So you can drive it from their SG Labs 23 centimeter transverter.
Okay.
Or you can drive it from what we did, a 9700
Okay.
as well. So if you put this in a box, waterproof box right up at the antenna.
Just go sideways because there's a fairly decent heatsink already on this.
Yeah, aluminium block. You do need to mount this to another heatsink though, because it does get warm if you run like FM or digital.
Yeah. Okay.
SSB would be perfectly fine as is.
Yep.
And I think in here there's actually some headers for a fan.
Ah,
So,
okay.
it'll switch a fan
on. Yeah.
on
Okay.
while you're transmitting as
Okay.
well.
Okay.
So PTT, there's LEDs on the side, the classic
Yep.
SG Labs LEDs.
Yep. Input and output matching and all that sort of stuff.
Yep.
Fantastic.
So you can get those. I think they were like 280 euros or something, weren't they? 290 euros.
So
something like that.
Yeah.
500 landed here.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
For 50 watts and an LNA, all in one.
Love it.
No, they're nice unit.
Yeah.
And the same form factor as the 25s.
Yes, except the 25s are 12 volts.
Yeah.
These are 28.
No, because I've got a 25. I've got a 20, which is, yeah.
What I use, Murray uses a 24 volt power supply, but I've got a
No,
DC.
I've got a 28 volt.
I do.
Got to get every last little.
Or
Every
DC,
watt.
Oh, yeah.
DC to DC converter. Well,
Yeah,
truly.
Because if you run these at 24 volts, they won't put out 50. They'll put out like 40-ish. So yeah, I've got an isolated Victron.
The cynic in me just says they've doubled the voltage and doubled the power.
Yeah.
But I think it's more than that.
Do you want to get your 12 volt one and crank it up and see what?
Oh, no, thanks.
No, they do look different design inside.
Yeah, no. It'll be different, and they probably paralleled up mimics and that sort of stuff and balance them up. So,
But it certainly makes, I mean, that's what I use all the time on 23 centimetres home.
okay.
And I think they draw like 4 amps or something like that. It's not a lot. 4 or 5 amps.
Well, the DC to
mine
DC
draws
converters
more
I've
than
got
that,
a 10
more
are
than that,
capable of
because
10
I'm
amps.
watching the amp meter on the 12 volt side, so
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, well, it would be.
It'll be double that. So
Sorry, I meant at 28 volts. It's
Yeah.
about 4 amps or something.
Okay. Yeah. Fantastic.
Very efficient, these.
I love it.
are too, yeah.
Very nice. SG Labs. Whew. We're big fans of SG Labs down here.
we have lots of it.
They're going, that's VK7s. Oh my God. I'm shipping all my stuff to VK7.
They're clearly shipping stuff to a lot of places because they haven't even got around to putting most of the products they have on their website.
Correct.
And a lot of people actually who we've been pestering them about the 5.7 gig transverters for about a year and a half or 2 years.
Poor Riston.
And I think our transverters were the first batch sent out.
Cool.
I'm pretty sure they were the first batch sent out.
I love it. Early adopters.
Cheers.
It's probably not a good idea to early adopt everything, but in this case, they were tried and tested with the other bands. So.
Correct. And they've spent some time on that design, so...
You did, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Fantastic. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, we'll do just a little bit of a reset of the studio. Just stand by. One of the things, actually, just stand by. Just stand by. This is Justin being presenter, stage manager, and logistics all in one. I'll just move that over there. So the next segment that I thought I was going to do, which I'll still do, one of the really handy applications that is still free and still multi-platform and still available, and lots of people use this, is a application called Audacity. Now, lots of people probably have heard about this. It is audio processing, it's audio recording, it's audio editing, and all things in between that. So, if I just go down here a little bit and push this wonderful button, okay, we'll swap over here. So, what you're looking at here is Audacity, the actual application. This one's currently running on a Mac, but it runs on Windows, it runs on Linux, and it runs really nicely. You get full function across all multi-platforms. So what Audacity enables you to do is obviously record. You'll notice I've got a little podcasting microphone here. I bought in a little USB podcasting microphone that I could show you to record a track. But then I thought about one of the real strengths of Audacity is its editing and its audio manipulation. And so I thought, how do I actually demonstrate the sort of the power of Audacity? And I suddenly realised we use Audacity to put the broadcasts together. And so the VK7 broadcast, and also every so often, once or twice a year, we're asked to put together the Wireless Institute of Australia national broadcast. And I thought, now there's an example and a scenario where it really shows off the power of Audacity. And you can see here there are a whole lot of tracks, and I've actually named up. You can name up these tracks. There is the opening theme, the opening address, what's in the news. There is the WIA something in here. There is operational news. There is the 10-minute ID in here, and etc. etc. So what we do is we put together a script during the week, and we send out that script to each of the different readers, and they go off and they record their little segment, and then they upload that particular segment to the news website. And come Friday, somewhere around Friday morning, whoever's compiling the news, that'll be 4BB Graham, or whoever is doing it at the time. The Alara group did it a little while ago, and in fact part of this is recorded on, I think this might have been a joint Alara
amateur radio news service on RF, internet streaming and text.
A joint Alara broadcast, so there is a lot of the introductions and the segments are all read by the Alara women. So, but whoever's putting it together grabs all those files off the download site, and they dump them into Audacity. Then they have to put the broadcast together. And so each of these different segments, you load them into Audacity. You can give them a name. If I expand this out, you can give them a name, which is in this case the theme, and then you can start to play with the timing. Now, before you do that, a lot of the time you have to do some editing. So I'll just see. Here's the introduction. If I play a little bit of this.
From Australia, this is VK1WIA and...
So what we've actually done in here is there is obviously a couple of tracks in here that I've put together, which is the underlying music and then the voice over the top of it, and I've mixed those two together. Now, one of the things that Audacity enables you to do is if the particular segment is, oh, hang on, that's not what I want to do. If the particular segment, that's what I want to do. If the particular segment is maybe the voice is not high enough, or the music's too low, or you can go through and put it into what they call envelope mode, and you can put a whole lot of little segments in here where you want to actually do things with the audio, and I've put a whole lot in here. And then what you can do is you can change the envelope in here, and you can change the attack, you can change the volume, you can make that go all the way down to 0 if you really want to. And so what it sounds like.
From Australia, this is VK1.
Now and you'd probably do this with both the music and the voice. And when the voice goes low, well, you can then drop the or raise up the music. You can move these to different points, so we can really, and actually if we put another set of dots in here, we can push that right down to 0 and then back up here, etc, etc. Now you get a bit of an idea. You can change the envelope and change the dynamics of the particular segment. So that's a really handy feature in Audacity. One of the things that you can also do is these transitions. So you've got this segment and you've got this track, and then we want to play the next track. Now if I unmute these two and I just go down here and I mute the main track, where this transition happens, you can, and one of the really nice things here is if you click up in the timeline, it just starts playing at that point.
National news for week commencing May 10, 2020 in our 25th year.
Now that might have come in a little bit quick. So what we need to do is grab this particular, I should be able to move that. Why can't I move that? That's because the end of here, hang on. Yes, there's another track in there. Let me just very quickly shorten this particular track, and that's a bit better. Okay. There's another track right next to it. There usually isn't two tracks one after another. But what we can do is then I can move this to make it a little bit later. So this transition now,
National news for week
so
commencing
it
May 10,
just comes in as the music fades out.
Non-stop news.
So it just gives you the ability to play with these transitions and make it sound really smick. And literally just click on the timeline and you've got it playing. Now, the other thing you can do is put in little markers. You can click in a particular area. So you can see there's a black line there. Just let me check that you can see this. Yeah, there's a black line where I've clicked. And whenever I start the playback up here with the playback button, that's where it will start from.
National news for week. National news for.
So very handy when you're editing something. You can just put a time mark in, and you can always go back to that at any stage. And now you'll notice I've unmuted this first track and I've unmuted this second track. Now all these other tracks I've actually muted, and you can see if we hang on, let's zoom out a bit here. There we go, the third track, and these muted tracks are all in grey, so they won't play. But So what we do is go through, and you can put together, and as you finish with a particular track, you can then mute it and go from there, and literally go through. Hang on, where's the ident? Right here. So if I unmute this one, and then unmute the next one. Now if I click in the timeline right at the end here, you'll see this is one of those idents.
WIA DX Awards Manager for that.
That's Michelle, VK2AYL. Oh, hang on. And I click out of there because I had that.
WIA DX Awards Manager for that information.
Straight into the ident.
This is VK1WIA and the weekly WIA amateur radio news service on RF, internet streaming and text at wia.org.au.
All major Australian contests, rules and results are on the contest section of the WIA website.
Now, good transition there, really good transition from into the ident and then back out again. And that again is you can play with where it overlaps, how much it overlaps. And then if you have to play with the fade in or the fade out, you can then go to that envelope function. So I hope you're getting a feel. Andrew Elwell is really good if you want to identify an unknown data string. Yeah, okay. That's a radio use for it as well, so fantastic. You can see, and once you have all of these tracks ready and all of the transitions are correct, and I'll zoom right out here so you can see where we've got what, about 10, 12, 15 particular segments together, and we put all those together. What we can do is then go up here to mix and render to a new track. So what that means is it puts all of those individual tracks together into one, and you can see it down the bottom here. That is the complete broadcast all in one particular track. Let's zoom in here. You can see lots of different levels. Some of it you'd say is probably clipping is up there, and you may need to change levels and all sorts of things. But I'll go into that in a minute. There's a sequence you go through to finally render and finally process that end product so that you get a really good result. Again, you can click into the timeline at any stage.
Days straight after the internet.
Oh, there's Mike.
And although World PH Day fell on May the 5th.
Linda.
VK4, the Rockhampton.
Oh, that'll be yours truly.
Dinner.
73s and 33s from Linda, VK7QP, President of Alara.
Now, a really handy feature down here in tempo, down in this little, down at the bottom of the screen, you can actually speed things up.
This is an amateur radio linear transponder, SSB.
10 to 0800 UTC, Sunday, October 11. Thanks, Mike. Continuing with ham radio operational news. WIA DX Awards Leaderboard Competition
Concludes for 2019.
This annual
Now,
VK-only competition
you might think,
is designed as a friendly
what use is
competition.
that? What use is that in other than creating little people who talk like ducks? One of the things that I do with the VK7 broadcast is to do a final listen to make sure that I've got everything right. I actually do it at 1.5 to up to 2. So I can hear the voice. You can go through. You can get the nuance in the voice. You can get the nuance in the timing, but you get through it in half the time. So a really handy little feature down here, and that's the playback at speed button. And so you set what you want it to play back at, and it can go all the way up to 3 and all the way down to 0.01. So really slow. and you just literally
10
push the
0800 UTC
play
Sunday, October 11.
and
Thanks, Mike. Continuing with ham radio operational news. WIA DX Awards leaderboard competition.
so really handy little feature. There is all of your timings and timelines in here. So everything's counting down in fractions of a second, and you can edit to fractions of a second if you really want to. You can literally, if you, and I'll show you here, let's go into the middle of here, and if we zoom in right into there, you can get down to literally the waveform, and you can take out anomalies or clicks. If you've got a particular click that you need to get rid of, you can see here I can then go up and go effect, create silence, generate silence, and it defaults to the amount of time that I've highlighted, and you can see it's absolute silence, so that's just been taken out. And you can do all sorts of things. You can put in beep tracks so that there is sync. You can get the sync voice to lip to voice sync using a beep track, and all sorts of things. So you can very powerful audio processing and audio manipulation. And the other thing is effects. There are a whole bunch of effects available to you. If you go up to the effects, volume and compression I'll go into in a sec. Crossfades, fade in, fade out, you can apply automatically. Change the pitch, change the tempo. I'll go into changing the tempo shortly. All your filters, EQ filters, and we'll use one of them in the final mix down. Delay and reverb, so you want to put in a reverb, make it sound like it's in a cathedral or whatever else. That's where you put it in, or there is an echo in there. Some distortion, modulation, bit like your guitar pedals. You can put in phaser and wah-wah pedals and all sorts of stuff. Special, interesting one here is the invert function. You can actually change and invert the phase. And get rid of particular types of noise. So yeah, spectral tools, if you really want to go down to editing particular parts of the spectrum, there are a whole lot of legacy applications. There is a whole lot of Apple specific in here, and there's Windows specific and Linux specific filters. So you can highlight a particular part of the segment that you want to put reverb on, and then put reverb on. Well and truly. We get to the point where we've done the mix down. We've put all those tracks together. We're happy with the mix. We've mixed it down to this particular track. So we highlight the track, Command A. No, that didn't happen. Command A, that's better. Actually, let me just. Oh no, that's not what I want to do. Let me just highlight a segment of this. That's better. Now, there is a sequence that you go through before you render to an MP3 or some other format. We put everything in MP3s. That's the format we use in the broadcasts. But before we do that, what we do is the final audio processing, which we call ECN, and it's used in industry. ECN stands for EQ, so we make sure the frequency spectrum is right. We compress by a certain amount, and then we normalize. And normalize just makes sure that it is in the center of the spectrum and not bias one way or the other. And then we export to MP3. So to do that, we highlight the track. We go into the EQ and filters, and there is graphic EQ. I don't want graphic EQ. I want the other one. I want the EQ filter curve EQ. Now, what we've done here is we've got rid of below 100 Hertz and we've got rid of above 1000 Hertz. Now, bearing in mind, these broadcasts go through all sorts of audio paths, and can I just say, most of them are repeater audio paths, and repeaters have quite a narrow band pass for audio. And so what we do is we boost up, in this case by 6 dB, the 100 to 1000 Hertz, and we leave everything else at 0. So we can apply that. We apply that, it goes off and does the filter. And you can see that's really boosted absolutely everything up. We then go into effects and compress. And we go into the compressor, and I think this will be set correct, yes. And there are some preset settings that are available to you, so you can play with these and see what happens. And what compressors do is, with really high signals it brings them down, with really low signals it boosts them up. So there is and it keeps it within a particular range. And so we then apply that to what we've highlighted. That goes off and that's applied, and then the very final step that we've done on here, and can I just say I've probably already done that with this particular file, but anyway, is we go into volume and compression and normalize. And normalize peak amplitude 2. We've said 0 dB, so it's not extending it, it's not actually amplifying it, or it's not compressing it, or it's not reducing it. And so we go through, and you can see that's all come back to everything's equal around that center line. Now, happy with that. You can have a bit of a listen to it. All we do is click in the timeline.
And VK7CW. Any wonder with a call like that, Steve? VK7CW.
That's Michelle.
Some of VHF UHF field day results.
That's
really.
yours truly.
However, they were unclear whether this was
Mike.
a one-off
Bit boomy.
or just the first contact on
Bit
the band.
boomy. So if you wanted to, you could play with that.
Bev, VK6DE.
There's Linda.
And in VK7, National News.
And final reception reports.
Okay.
WIA News rebroadcast.
So that sounds pretty good. So we can now export out. So export audio. We'll export to the computer. Now we have particular standards. On the VK7 broadcast, it is the sample rate's 44.1 kilocycles. It is at a constant bit rate, and the quality is 64 kilobits per second samples. So now, the WIA News, you produce a 64 kilobits file, and you also produce a 128 kilobit file for the podcast. So in this particular case, that's okay. That's actually let me just change that name so it doesn't overwrite the file that's there. Export, and it goes off, and that's what, 15-20 seconds, and it exports that file out. Now one thing I didn't show you, which I will show you, is we need to, especially with the WIA broadcast, stick to 30 minutes. It has to be a maximum of 30 minutes. And so if you get to the point where it's not quite 30 minutes and it's within about 2 or 3% of 30 minutes, what you can do is a really nice little thing called, you can change the tempo a little bit. So you can go into here and say pitch and tempo, change the tempo. Now you can see this is 1811.79 seconds. Now 30 minutes is 1800 seconds. So if we make that 1800, was already hang on. Let's add. Okay, let's make it less than that. That'll do. It's not just for demonstration purposes. Tempo. Let's make it 750. Oh no, let's make that 1750. And you'll notice it's just got a little bit shorter, but
They're in use. Mostly you called CQ for a while and then tuned the band to see if anyone was calling you. Compare that to
From Linda VK7QP, President of Alara.
I challenge anyone to know that that's any different. If you stick within that sort of 2 to 3% rule, past 2 to 3%, you can start to hear some artifacts and some other bits and pieces. But we're now at 1750 seconds, and if we wanted to then, I don't know, take that back to 1800, we could go back to 30 minutes. And we're back at exactly 30 minutes. So that's how we manipulate the file to get it to 30 minutes, to exactly 30 minutes. If it's more than 2 or 3, then you have to start thinking about taking particular segments out or putting more segments in. But that's how you manipulate so that you can get to 30 minutes, and well, the exact time that you're looking for. Yeah. So I hope that's given you a little bit, and honestly, you can download Audacity for free. What I suggest you try and do is have a look at it, download it, have a look at it. You can record your own thing, you can record your own podcasts, you can do all sorts of things, and then put some intro music in there and put some outro music in there, and some transitional effects and all that sort of stuff. And it's just a really nice environment to play with, and I still can't believe that it's free. I would actually pay money for this if it was actually you had to pay money for it, because I've used it for many years from its very early versions, and it's just improved and improved and improved. There is a whole global team that looks after it now. And they keep adding things, they keep adding effects, they keep adding all sorts of things in there, and it's just a really nice little package to play with. Ah, there you go, Andy. I've been using it for 10 years. Well, there you go. It is just, and I still, I say it again. I still can't believe it's free. So yeah, that's. Let's come back to here. That's a bit better. So now, I just wanted to. How are we going for time? Oh, we got 7 minutes. Oh, yeah. I might hold over the next one. I'll do a taster though. Let me just go and grab something from the studio. There's a really nice little. And this is following on from the segment. This is following on from the segment that I did last week with the Eddystone semi-automatic key. Now, what I was going to do, and I'll hold this over until next week, is I was going to do a little segment on Vibroplex keys. We had Eddystone here last week, and we now have Vibroplex keys. Now, for those who don't know, I collect Morse keys and keys, and these are a couple that I have collected. This one's come from Larry. I bought this one from Larry. This is a deluxe. This is a dual, a paddle, single paddle, dots and dashes. This is a this is a super deluxe semi-automatic, and this used to belong. This was actually a deceased estate. It was Silent Key, and I purchased it. VK7ZMS Miller. Actually has he had his name engraved on the key. Now, this is a semi-automatic, so you do the dashes and it does the dots semi-automatically. So I'll demonstrate that next week. But there is a Australian key, which I will give you a bit of a taster of. It's an Autoplex Australian, or Simplex Australian key. Autoplex was the original name of Vibroplex, and Simplex was produced in Australia. They're quite a rare key, and I actually have one that I'll show you next week, and we'll go into a little bit of the history of Vibroplex. It's been around since 1902 and has kept going all the way up to today, been owned by quite a number of different owners, and it's certainly set the standard for semi-automatic and keyers probably in the world. So yeah, we'll go into that history in the next week. Oh no, actually it won't be next week, it'll be the week after. Now let me just go back to here. We'll make that disappear and go over here. Now on a Thursday night, so tomorrow night, we have a SSTV statewide night, which is on one of our 2 metre repeaters, 2 metre 70 centimetre repeaters, 2 metres in the south and 70 centimetres in the north, and VK7RAF and VK7JG, and we send around a whole lot of different pitches on 2 metres via the repeater, and I'm showing you VK700 Steve, who we had in the studio last week. This is his 2 metre SSTV capture site, and you can see this is some of the material that was shared over the last couple of weeks. Now there is Steve's site, there is Ken's site, VK7KRJ's site. Also in the south, and you can see, we can scroll through here, that's last week, and then we'll scroll into the week before that. Yep. And they are captured on those two particular sites. And then the third place you can have a look is on the NTARC blog site at the SSTV net for the 30th of January, and you can see there is a link to it there. So we hold it VK7RAF 146,650, and the key is a 141.3 Hertz tone, because that links the north-south, that links between RAF and RJG. And in the north and northwest, RJG on 438.55 with a -7 offset, no tone. So that's the SSTV net. Starts around about 7:30. There's usually some people kicking off a little bit earlier. So there you go. Now, quickly, space weather. There is only a HF fade out warning, and the fade out warning R1, R2 probable, and in fact that's today. So they will have another report in the next day. And also, I just thought I'd give you a view of, and Hayden and Murray were talking about it, the Hepburn charts. Now, the Hepburn charts, I'll put the link in the video description. This is the Hepburn chart, the latest Hepburn chart. It is a sequence, so it's a prediction. So if you keep clicking on the chart, it goes to every, I think it's every 6 or 12 hours, 6 hours, and it cycles through. Oh, come on. Cycles through for a couple of days. Yeah, it doesn't look anything like what the weekend looked like, which was fantastic into the Australian Bight and across Bass Strait and across to New Zealand. It was absolutely off the show for New Zealand. There we go. So a little bit of intense intense energy around here. You probably expect some ducting around here. but an off Broome, yeah, you can see across to New Zealand. This is the remnants of what happened in the last few days. Absolutely off the show. There is a little bit in Bass Strait though. That's interesting. But anyway, so that's the Hepburn chart. So there you go. Let's go back here. So that's your lot for this week. Look at that, 8:30, perfect timing. And a reminder, in 2 weeks' time, Vibroplex, and all about Vibroplex, and also some demonstrations of some Vibroplex keys, and also a very special Australian key, which followed in the footsteps of Vibroplex. So yeah. So this is VK7OTC, the club station of the Radio and Electronics Association of Southern Tasmania, with our DATV Experimenters Night. And that's your blooming lot for this week. Next week we have a forum night lined up with the topic how to get your friends and family interested in amateur radio. So bring along your ideas and input them into the forum. Should be an interesting discussion. Okay, 73, and we'll catch you next week.